Welcome to a brand new episode of the Scaling Therapy Practice. This is the show where we empower mission-driven leaders, helpers, coaches to launch life-changing online content. I'm your host, James Marland, and today we're exploring the transformative power of the Profit First system. It's a method I personally endorse for its straightforwardness and effective approach for financial management. Joining us today is Susanne Mariga, a CPA and fractional CFO renowned for her strategies that significantly boost the financial health of 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs. She's a Profit First expert. Today's episode will dive into how Profit First can help you manage your finances better, whether you're looking to add a new revenue stream or simply just enhancing your existing operations. And I want to help you further. So if you're intrigued in how Profit First can be integrated into your therapy practice, just email me at james@coursecreationstudio.com with any questions you might have about adding a revenue stream to your practice using the Profit First system. I'm working on developing some resources that will help people who are already working in their business and maybe have a one-to-one model to help them add a revenue stream of a group model or a course model. But I need your questions and your input to help me produce the best resource possible. So if you've started and got stuck, or you're in the process now and you're like, well, how do I do that? Please reach out to me. Reach out to james@coursecreationstudio.com. I'll be certain to listen to your feedback and point you in any direction that I have, but also get you on the list for the resource that we're creating to help people add more revenue streams to their existing practice. Now we're going to do my interview with Susanne Mariga, the Profit First expert, who is going to answer some questions about how to add Profit First to your system and the benefits that it brings to your practice. You're going to enjoy what she says. Let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk finances and having a plan, and I have a special guest, Susanne Mariga. As a certified Profit First professional at the mastery level, she's passionate about helping entrepreneurs maximize their revenue, grow their business, and save dollars through sound tax strategies. And Susanne, welcome to the show.
Well, James, I'm excited to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
So let's do some introductions. Tell us about yourself and how how did you discover the Profit First system, the accounting system, and then you wrote a book about it. So tell us about that.
Profit First is a really dear system to me. I was like a lot of business owners. I love the world of accounting and tax, and it was something that came easy to me, and I loved it so much that I would have done it for free, and
Mm.
that's exactly what I did. I ended up doing it for free in many cases, meaning that especially those beginning years, I could have made more at my W-2 job, as they say, just because we're doing what we love. We're super selling. We are, if someone needs a discount, we're lowballing and discounting our prices and pretty much doing everything that the School of Business teaches you, right? Sell high and as much as you can, and then be responsible about your expenses, and naturally profit will follow. And unfortunately, profit, if you don't make it intentional, it ends up being something that's an aftermath. And it was interesting because it was something that I was seeing in a lot of our business clients too that were coming through the door. They were always asking me, what can I do to reduce my taxes? And I would look through their P&L and their balance sheet, and I'm like, well, why are you concerned about taxes? You're not making any money, you don't have anything to show for all your hard work. You're not going to pay taxes. You're going to get earned income credit. And at first it was fun, getting earned income credit for these guys, but then you would see them come back year after year. And, you would see their businesses grow. You would see them hire their first employees. You would see them get their office spaces. And you would find when you're looking through their P&L, you're looking at their W-2 at the end of the year, like, okay, you didn't even pay yourself. Okay.
Mm.
You don't own your own house. Where are we going with this business? Because one day I want to retire and I want you to do that too. unfortunately, without having profit, you're not able to put away into your 401k. You're not able to
Mhm.
buy that house and pay it off one day so that you can live mortgage free if you don't have profit, right? If you're not paying yourself an owner's salary. And, I was fortunate enough to meet Mike McAlowich. He swears that I was one of the original Profit First professionals, but I think there was like 20 other of us in the room when I joined. But it was a message that the world needed to hear, especially the world of entrepreneurship. If we don't make our profit intentional, if we don't pay ourselves first, then we usually never end up paying ourselves. And so that's the reason why Profit First was so important to me, and it's such an easy system too. I mean, literally, it's a system that works with our natural psychological and biological makeup, and you therapists know that, we make it easy for you. If we work with your natural tendencies, you're gonna be more likely to be successful with it, and so what Profit First does is, we create what we call an illusion of scarcity, and it's based upon, something called Parkinson's Law. And what Parkinson's law teaches us is the more that we have of something, the less we are going to conserve of that resource, right? So I like
Like
to give
time.
the
It's like time.
exactly,
Like,
exactly.
if we
You
don't
give
know, if we're not heading for something or growing for something, we think, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or I can do it," "I'm gonna build that good relationship with my neighbors tomorrow," or "I'm gonna, have a workout tomorrow." We just think tomorrow is never ending, but it's so what we do, what we put our attention on fills up the time. That's Parkinson's law. It just fills up the time that we're using. It's the same thing with money. So yeah, go ahead and explain the Parkinson law with the money and the for the entrepreneurs.
and it's exactly what you said, James. If you give me 2 weeks to do something, I'm going to get it done maybe the night before if you're
Yep.
lucky, right? You give me tomorrow, I'm going to have it done tomorrow.
Hmm.
And same way with our entrepreneurs, they look at their bank account, it's the first of the month, they've just got paid, and suddenly they're like, okay, I can go ahead and get that new computer, right? I might be able to like hire that new assistant that I've been wanting
Guilty.
for a while, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, when it comes to the end of the month and money has run out because we've already billed, right? We're like, okay, well, I'll be able to make that last payroll and rent's coming up soon. And I don't know if I have that deposit, yet. And we're making suddenly very different decisions, right? And it's based upon what we have. And so what happens in Profit First is, we are going to create that illusion of scarcity.
Mm.
And we're going to do that through bank accounts. And it's very similar to Dave Ramsey. If you guys grew up
Yep.
listening to Dave Ramsey and the envelope system where you get paid, you put some cash away for rent, you put some cash away for groceries, you put some cash away to maybe
Hmm.
take the kids to the movie theater, and you've got these envelopes. Well, we do something similar in Profit First, but we don't do it through envelopes. We don't want any business owners stuffing cash in envelopes, right? We
Put
don't
it
want
under the
anybody.
mattress, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna do that, definitely text James so he knows who you are. No.
I can help
No.
you.
But we're going to do bank accounts, and those
Mm.
bank accounts are going to have designated purposes, right? So you're going to have one bank account where all the cash is going to come in. You're going to have a bank account that's going to be for profit, right? Where you're going to transfer money based upon a percentage of those collections into a profit account. You're going to have a bank account for owner's pay because reality is you as a therapist, you are the most valued player. The day you step out of your business is no longer the same. You're going to have a bank account for taxes because the reality is when you're successful, when you're making money, it's not your accountant's fault. You're going to have a tax obligation. Now, they're going to do everything they can to reduce taxes, but you're going to have a tax obligation. So instead of worrying about how we're going to pay for last year's taxes with this year's money, we're just going to have a tax account set aside for it. And that last bank account that we're going to have set aside is going to be for your operating expenses. And we call that the OPEX account. And that's the account that we're going to use to make decisions on, can I afford that upgrade in my lease space? Can I bring on that
Mm.
assistant? Can I buy that new computer? And that's the account that I'm going to make those types of decisions on. So I'm going to eyeball that operating expense bank account.
I think the book. It was either a book or a podcast I listened to on Profit First. They call it like the small plate system. Like if you go to the dinner table and you have a big plate, you fill it with big things. If you have the small plates, you take smaller of the portion, and so you just know what is in that account you're not seeing the one big account with everything. Like, oh, I'm going to buy a new computer. I'm going to hire this new person. I'm going to rent, buy a new building. I have all this money. And then at the end of the year, you didn't account for like taxes and I don't know, taxes is just the big scary monster in the room, but like taxes and like all the other end of year stuff that go on, and then you're out of money, and then you put everything on you saw it on the big plate and ate it. Now it's gone. So I have did you want to, I have a question about Profit First and restarting it. Did you want to explain any more about the Profit First system before we move on to that
N-
question?
I would love to dive into your
Nope.
question, James.
Okay.
Let's dive
All right,
into
here we
it.
go. So I've worked under the Profit First system for a little while, and I had my bank accounts, and I'm a 2-year-old business, so not I was doing it myself. So when I decided to level up and I hired an accountant, the tax people, they were like, "What are you doing?" They had no idea how to operate with that. The You have how many bank accounts? That those types of questions. You're only making this much money because it's year two. Why are you like this? Now, I liked the profit first system because it kept it I I was saving money for like marketing and taxes and profit, and I like seeing things grow, slowly, but it was growing. So then when I hired other people, it they kind of dismantled the system a little bit. Now, I personally like it and want to get back to it because I I used to know the percentage of, this is what I'm gonna pay, and this is what I'm gonna spend on equipment, and this is what I can upgrade, my computer programs and whatever. Because 'cause I'm a tech person and I'm always buying, I would always like to buy new computers. Um, and so the question is, one, if you've already established profit first, how do you explain it to, if you change accountants, how do you explain it to your accountant, like, oh, this is what I want to do with it? And then I guess the second question is, how do I reintroduce it? So that's the follow-up question. If you're hearing about profit first for the first time, you're like, oh, this is great. How would you introduce it to your accountant so that you could try to get it working? And then the second question is, how do you restart it if you broke it?
So first of all, from a accounting concept and a profit first concept is, first of all, profit first is actually not an accounting system. I've heard a lot of people go,
Oh,
I
go for
love that
that. Yeah.
accounting system, profit first. And I'll be honest with you, it makes us CPAs, it makes our hair stand up on the back of our neck. Okay. Please don't call that an accounting system, guys. Like, don't go to your accountant and be like, I found this new thing called Gap is crap, accounting system profit first. Okay, let's not do that. But, instead, what it is it's a cash management system, right? It's a system that's
Mm,
designed to create that intentional profitability, right? It's designed to really use physics, right? If money gets collected in one bank account and is transferred to other bank accounts and we don't touch it, then naturally profit's going to accumulate. Now, what a lot of bookkeepers may say is, oh my gosh, that's going to be a lot of bank accounts. I have to reconcile a whole lot of bank accounts. But the reality is, you're only transferring twice a month, right? You're only transferring to this profit account twice a month on the 10th and 25th, right? You're only transferring to that tax account twice a month. So you're really, and talking about maybe 6 transactions per month is what you're talking about, which a good bookkeeper can do that in under 10 minutes, okay? 10 minutes to record those and reconcile those accounts. So you're not talking about a lot of activity. So first of all, it's just being clear that, hey, these are 2 bank accounts. It's helping me save money, and it allows me to transfer that. And according to folks that implement profit first, other accountants, it really doesn't take that much time. Now, if you find that you have an accountant that's not supportive, and there are unfortunately some that are maybe out there, Profit First has a host of accountants that specialize in Profit First. So there's always that idea of, we want to build a team that is really on board with the value system that you have as an entrepreneur. So there's always being able to hire a Profit First accountant. But in terms of it being more work, more onerous for a bookkeeper or accountant. It really isn't. We're talking about 6 transactions a month from that perspective. In terms of like, let's say you started profit first, but you got discouraged. Maybe your team wasn't on board. Maybe you got off track. Something happened in the economy. Something happened personally. They always say the best time to have done something was 10 years ago. The next best time to do it is today. Right. And again, what I love about profit first is, just start where you're at. Just start with, if you're at 0% profit, which a lot of companies are in America, then start with 1%. Just make 1% of your revenue going towards profit. If you're already at 1%, go to 2% and just gradually increase it from there. But, if you never start, you'll never get to build.
Hmm. Yeah. So, how would I restart it with my current accountant? I guess is my they I have envelopes in QuickBooks. I don't know. QuickBooks has a pretty cool envelope system. I don't know if you've seen that recently, and I've been using that instead of the bank accounts. I do still have to transfer money back and forth into that, and that's sort of like on my side, not necessarily on the account. I mean, the accountant can see it, but they're not like, oh, why do you have these envelopes here? They kind of see the purpose, and I name them tax or I name them profit. Um, is that a I don't know. What's your opinion on that? Or do you have a different way of like restarting this cash management system?
I'm always curious, James, in terms of how the envelopes system works for you, like on those packets. I've seen people do that, not necessarily through QuickBooks, but through like other budgeting software. And,
Hmm.
for me, there's nothing like actually physically moving money. And I even hide money. Like I go online and I actually hide bank accounts. And like, and then I go and look at it once a quarter, like, oh, I didn't do that bad. You know what I mean? And so it's, so I love that physical hiding of something. It just makes it
Mm.
unreachable. And then when I meet a lot of business owners, it's interesting because a lot of them, they may be having something behind the scenes or envelopes, but the reality is they don't even know how to use their QuickBooks. They don't know how to go in there and run reports. And so even if they have envelopes, it's not really being used for anything.
True.
So, I'm always curious how it works for those, but for me, it's actually physically doing it, physically moving money. In terms of your
Hmm.
accountant and restarting with your accountant, it's just like with your team members. Do they have a choice of how if they're gonna come to work today, right? Do they have a choice of if you actually, maybe you give them some flexibility, but do they have a choice at the end of the day if you're saying, okay, I'm drawing the line in the sand and we're gonna do it this way? That's the same with your accountant.
Hmm.
It's not about they have a choice and put profit first. These are my bank accounts. They need to be reconciled.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you know what? The profit first system makes it easy for the owner to make decisions. Like I can't. I mean, I've gone to business school and I know how to read reports, sort of, but not really. It's not something I do every day. But I can read 5 bank accounts, and I know, oh, I have money, the expenses, I have enough to meet the expenses. The taxes, we're on track for the taxes. Oh, look, the profit is growing. Like I can read the accounts. I can't necessarily read I can't read the story a profit loss statement or a balance sheet tells me. Not with the fine detail of somebody who does it for multiple businesses day in and day out. It's just an easier system.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I mean, it was a game changer for myself.
So we talk here on the show about creating courses or creating alternate streams of revenue. I know is there a way to use the profit first system to start? You have your therapy business, right? You have your all the things that go with that, but you want to start another stream of revenue, whether that's a product, a course, maybe you want to be a I don't know, public speaker. I don't know. You're starting another revenue stream that's not therapy. How could we use the profit first system to make it easy for us to manage our cash?
Right. So, I think that the great thing about Profit First is that it can work for any business, right? Now, there's some nuances that you may have to change. For example, if you're selling books or you're creating a product, You may actually have what we call direct costs, right? That cost to manufacture, cost of
Mm.
sales. So in Profit First, we have something called materials and subcontractors. Um, and so there's an allocation for those type of costs too that you put into play. However, Profit First works with any business, right? So really, it's no matter whether you're going to become a keynote speaker, whether you are going to be a therapist, whether you're going to sell books, Profit First is relevant for any business that you have. Now, it's interesting, and an attorney can definitely talk about this better. Now, wanting to separate the businesses, create a separate LLC for each of those businesses may be a good option. And once you start creating separate legal entities, there's certain percentages that we recommend that go towards profit, that goes towards owner's pay, that goes towards tax. And it's based upon the amount of revenue that's being collected. For example, if I'm a startup business and I just opened my door, or I'm just starting another business that just started, the reality is I'm not surrounded by a lot of team, right? I'm pretty much probably the sole employee, right? I'm the one that's doing the fulfillment. I'm the one that's making the sales. I'm the one that's doing customer service. And I'm the one that's, cleaning the bathrooms, right? I'm doing everything as a solo business owner. And as a result, most of that revenue is going to be kept, right? For me, it's going to be a larger portion of owner's pay, a larger portion of profit, a larger portion of taxes, smaller portion of operating expenses, right? And so those percentages are going to be a lot lower. In fact, we recommend about 70% going towards owner's benefit when you're a small startup. Now, once you're in the multi-millions, $10 million plus business, now you're not a one-man show. You're relying on the power of the team. And so you're going to have more operating expenses, right? You're going to have team payroll, you're going to have managers. You may even have directors that are on top of those managers, right? And so your operating expenses as a percentage of revenue is much larger than when you were a one-man show. Now, I do have a free gift, James, that if folks want to go to our
Sure.
website, they can download what those recommended percentages look like. It's called profitmap.co. Again, profitmap.co. And then you can just download those percentages there. You can see what a healthy company looks like so that you can take a look and see how you compare to a healthy company in terms of percentage of revenue that's going towards profit or owner's pay so that you can start to make those changes. But really, Profit First is applicable for any business.
What if you see you look at this map and you're like, "Oh, I'm out of line," but you can't when you make fast changes sometimes with money, you break things like, oh, because things are there for a reason, but you can't you can't drastically reduce payroll. You can't change your rent. You're kind of like locked in. What's somebody to do if they see that they're in trouble, but they want to make changes? What's some of the first steps to help them get unstuck?
So, first of all, no one gets to what we call target allocation percentages overnight. So, no one gets to those ideal
Mm,
percentages on day one. For most people, it's going to be at least a year long process. Some of us, it might be an 18-month process. And so looking at it as a journey, looking at the gains versus like the gap, as they say, right? And and so it's starting small. And for me, a lot of times I like to start with the easy ones. I start with my dues and subscriptions. I think
mm,
about COVID. When COVID hit, I went into my office and there was tons of magazines stacked on my coffee table in my office. And most of them were still even wrapped in the plastic. That's how bad it was. And nobody was using those
mhm.
magazines because nobody was going into the office during COVID. And so, what are the things that you're paying for that you're not using anymore? Those are the easy things. I go through my Apple every now and then, my Apple apps, things that are auto renewing. I'm like, oh, look, I got a calm mediation app that I never use. No wonder I'm not calm, right? Let me go ahead and delete that. It was a great idea when I bought it, but it's been about a year. It's about to auto renew, and I've only used it once. And then I fell asleep. Wasn't worth it. So let's go ahead and cancel that. So go ahead and go through those subscriptions. Start there. That's an easy one. Then I would start looking at things like leases. What's coming due, right? Maybe I need to make a calendar of my due dates of when things are up for renewal so I can start planning. Do I want to renew that lease? Is that at least that's bringing me money, being in that class A office space downtown? Or is it something that, you guys are therapists. Can I do this over Zoom? Can I rent a smaller location, a community center, to operate out? What makes sense for me, in my business? So I can at least start getting a track of, when things are expiring, what are my due dates coming up for that? And then later on, tackle the HR issues. One of the things that we like to see
Mhm.
with employees, right, is we want to see at least a 3x on payroll and salaries. And so, looking at production, what's their chargeability rate? What percentage of the time are my therapists seeing clients, right? Who doesn't have a full schedule, and why is that? Is it that, it's a sales issue that we just need to book them more? Or is it maybe no
Mhm.
one wants to see that therapist, right? For a different reason. So just looking at productivity from that standpoint too, also. So, but to take it slow, start with the easy wins and then just build from there.
Great. Um, so what, uh, before we do the where can we find you type questions, do you have a when you think about Profit First, do you have a story that comes to mind that is like one of your favorite success stories of somebody who maybe came to you in trouble and they worked with you and you were able to help them through that pit of despair type?
Ye I have so many favorite stories that there isn't one. Luckily, my book is filled with them. I'm an author of a book,
Mm,
Profit First for Minority Business Enterprises. And even if you're not a minority, it's a great book. Because one of the things that we did in the book was, instead of focusing on the negative and the statistics, we focused on the success stories and we focused on the outliers of where people had incredible results and incredible success with. And, and these are pivotal stories. These are folks that may have started off on a journey that, that they knew if they continued on this journey, they would have been at a loss, right, with their businesses. And, they ended up buying their own building. They ended up buying their own ranches in some cases. They end up becoming the first
mm,
millionaire in their family. They end up selling their business
mm,
because, when you sell a business, it's a multiple of EBITDA, which is like your earnings, or a factor of your revenue, right? Like 1 times revenue or 1.2 times revenue, that type of thing. And again, they build it based upon implementing profit first and being profitable. So lots of, great examples in that book.
great. Well, this has been a good conversation and good reminder of, have a plan and the Profit First system's awesome for cash management. I want to ask you, Suzanne, if you had a couple hours to spend and you had a book you wanted to read, something on your shelf or something on Audible, and a snack that would sustain you for that time, what is your book and snack of choice?
Ooh. So if you're starting off, right, I'm gonna recommend Profit First, right? Profit First by Mike McCallitz.
Hmm. Of
Um,
course. Yep.
if you want to get a deeper dive and you want to dive into tax strategy and you want to dive into um, profit first, and if you even if you're not a minority business, but if you're interested in government contracting, we talk about that in the book. I would say Profit First for Minority Business Enterprises is another great option for that standpoint. In terms of snack, there's nothing like a good bowl of popcorn, right? Um, it's just nothing like
Mm.
a good bowl of popcorn. Now I can imagine like reading a book, it might get a little greasy, but I think eating anything on a book might get a little greasy.
That's true. Well, you can listen to it on Audible now. Just like close your eyes, put in your headset, you eat your popcorn. I'm picturing a chair out in the sun, just sort of like maybe in the shade or something. You might fall asleep. I don't know. But popcorn's a great snack. I'm a big fan of, well, all types of popcorn, but I like the kettle corn you buy at like fairs and stuff in the bag. I don't know. It just tastes like no other popcorn out there. So great. You've lots of great information, and I'm sure you have more more information to share and resources online. So please, Suzanne, tell us where we can find you.
So the best place to find me is first of all, just start with getting the profit map, right? Go to profitmap.co,
Hmm.
grab your profit map, grab your table of what a healthy company looks like and start your journey there. If you want to find me on LinkedIn, that's a great place to find me also. Suzanne Mariga.
Great. And it's the same for your webpage, right? SuzanneMariga.com.
That's it, James.
Okay, well, wonderful. Thank you, and everyone. I hope you take this advice. Know your numbers. Know where it's going. Profit First is awesome for helping you know where your numbers are, so that you can start. Add more revenue streams, pay yourself what you're worth, and really get some of the benefit out of your hard work and practice. This is James for Course Creation Studio. We will see you next time. Okay, thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for Susanne Mariga for sharing her passion about Profit First. Make sure you head out to the webpage where you can get the profit map. It's profitmap.co. Just go to the show notes. That might be the easiest place, and find the download for her free resources. It's always good to follow a map and have it clearly spelled out for you. So download those resources to help you. I want to remind you that if you are looking for help creating an extra income stream for your existing practice or for your existing service, reach out to me. Reach out to me with your questions. Reach out to me with where you've started and stopped. I am developing a resource to help people add new revenue streams to their existing revenue streams and some best practices for that. That's James at CourseCreationStudio.com, James at CourseCreationStudio.com. Of course, check out the show notes for all the resources. And finally, please like and share the episode. I wanted to remind you that while we give advice on the scaling therapy practice, the opinions expressed are that of the hosts and guests and not necessarily applicable to every situation. So if you are interested in getting started with any of these, I recommend that you connect with a lawyer, an accountant, or somebody that is a professional in that area to support you and your individual needs. The Scaling Therapy Practice is a proud part of the SciCraft Network.